So there's this supply chain attack on an AI tool called Element Data that's way more sophisticated than most people realize, and it actually exposes a huge blind spot in how we're securing open source machine learning infrastructure.
Okay, so what actually happened here? I'm hearing 1 million downloads, but that's just a number. What did the attackers actually do?
Right, so here's the thing. They didn't hack Element Data's servers directly. Instead, they found a vulnerability in the developer's own account workflow. That's way subtler than a direct breach because it's not something most security teams are even looking for. And once they got in there, they grabbed the signing keys.
Signing keys, okay. So those are what verify that a package is legitimate, right? Like the cryptographic proof that says this code actually came from the official source?
Exactly. With those keys, the attackers could push a malicious version, 0.23.3, to the Python package index and Docker, and it would have a valid signature. So when developers or automated systems checked whether the package was legitimate, everything looked fine. The malicious code arrived wearing the same cryptographic seal as every trusted release before it.
That's wild. So the verification system designed to catch supply chain attacks basically became the attacker's best cover. But what was actually in this malicious version? Like, what was it trying to steal?
It wasn't ransomware or something destructive. It was a credential harvester. It scanned the host machine for user profiles, warehouse credentials, cloud provider keys, API tokens, SSH keys, basically everything that gives you access to production infrastructure. And that's the scary part, because Element Data isn't a general-purpose tool. It's specifically built for machine learning engineers monitoring production AI systems.
Oh, so the targeting wasn't random. These ML engineers already have elevated permissions by design. They're the exact people you want to compromise if you're trying to get into sensitive AI infrastructure.
Exactly right. These users hold keys to cloud environments running sensitive models and training data. So dropping a credential harvester into an ML observability tool sitting inside their production infrastructure, that's not fishing blindly. That's a very deliberate target choice.
And then there's the timing thing I saw in the article. They published it on a Friday?
Yeah, on purpose. Security teams run at reduced capacity over weekends. Incident response slows down, alerts pile up. The malicious version stayed live for about 12 hours before developers caught it on Saturday. But in that window, automated CI/CD pipelines would have already pulled it and executed it without any human review.
So an ML engineer doesn't manually approve every package refresh before their training job runs. It just happens automatically.
Right. That's how CI/CD works. So even with 1 million monthly downloads, you're not looking at 1,000 casual hobby projects getting hit. You're looking at a smaller number of really high-value targets, ML engineers at companies managing health data, financial models, government contracts. That's where the real damage is.
So the article's really pushing back against this idea that the threat is the volume of downloads. It's actually the quality of the targets.
Exactly. That's the blind spot. Tooling that sits in the ML observability stack runs with deep access by design. Nobody scrutinizes it the way you'd scrutinize application layer code, because it's infrastructure. It's trusted. It's integrated everywhere. Attackers know this and deliberately target that layer because it's where the access is.
And so the structural failure here is basically that signing key security doesn't live in the cryptography itself. It lives in how developers manage their daily workflows and where they're storing their credentials.
Completely. Secrets in CI/CD pipelines, credentials exposed through account misconfigurations, keys that stick around longer than they need to. Any single weak point is enough. This attacker found one vulnerability in the account workflow and went straight to publication rights on a package with 7-figure monthly downloads.
So what's the takeaway here for companies and developers who are using open source AI tools?
I think the big one is that we need to stop treating tooling infrastructure as lower security priority than application code. These tools sit inside your most sensitive systems. They deserve the same scrutiny. And for maintainers, workflow hygiene and key rotation aren't boring compliance checklist items. They're the actual perimeter of your security.
Right. Because as this incident shows, that's where the real vulnerability is. Not in the cryptography, but in the people and processes handling the keys.
Exactly. If you want the full breakdown of how this attack unfolded and what the supply chain implications actually are, head over to newslet.com and read the full article. It gets into the details of how automated systems miss this and why the ML tooling layer is such a ripe target.